Did you want more of the story?
Sure.
There's more background to this story. I could say, actually, that perception of homelessness, that story a little bit is a little bit interesting, because 2 years ago in the park, we had something called rubbing shoulders. Did you go do that? So 2 years ago in the park, we had something, Hillside sponsored something called Rubbing Shoulders, where we just had a chance to get together with the community in the park. Tony put it together, and we had games for kids and a whole bunch of other stuff. We had hot dogs, we had singing, we had bands come. And so I was just say, hey Tony, what can I do to help? And he said, just hang out in the park and talk to people. So that's what I did. I didn't have any job, I just hung out in the park and talked to people. I could do that, I'm good at that. So I was hanging out in the park talking to people. And lots of people came through and just said who we were and have a hot dog, things like that. And then I saw over by the trees near the gazebo, there was some really dirty people there, maybe 4 or 5 guys, and a couple of people from our church were talking to them. I thought, oh, homeless people, that's not my cup of tea. I don't want to deal with that. And maybe I should go over and talk to them, but nah, I don't think so. So, so I didn't do it. I felt a bit guilty about not talking to them. And I thought, you know, that's not something I want to be involved with anyway. So the next week on Sunday, here comes a couple homeless people walking up to church. That person was talking to them, invited them to church, and picked them up and brought them to church. And that really convicted me. It's like, yeah, I know I should have done that. So I went right up to him and talked to him and befriended him. It was Larry Farrell, and the other guy was Robert. Robert doesn't come very much. He's still around. He's a good friend of mine. But Robert walked up with his shirt totally unbuttoned. I said, Robbie, after I met him, I said, Robbie, you're at church. You probably want to button that up. So I buttoned it up for him. So anyway, I sort of made friends with him pretty quick right then. They came quite often to church for most of the fall in '08, so going on 2 years ago. And I wasn't bringing them, somebody else was. And every week they're there, befriended them. I said, hey, you need some clothes? I brought them some clothes. So I got to know them a little bit. And in the Christmas time of '08, our church was putting on the play, what was it called?
Magi?
The Magi, thank you. In the Christmas time of '08, we were putting on the Magi play. And Larry and John were invited to come to this play. And I was involved in it, just in the support. And on this Sunday afternoon, I was just going to sit down and watch it in the audience. And Larry and John showed up, and I sat next to them. And the whole play was about a couple that is homeless and didn't have a place to live. And it really struck me that these 2 guys were homeless sitting next to me and don't have a place to live. And so I asked them after the play was done, I said, where are you guys now? They said, well, we just moved out of the bridge. We can't be with those people, and we're underneath the freeway. And I said, it's like 25 degrees out. You got anything? And he goes, no, not really. And I said, you need something or anything like that? He said, well, we can use a tarp and some coats and things like that. So I said, tell me where you guys are. I left the play after that, and I said, I'll go get the stuff. So I ran to my shop. I got tarps. I ran home, got some clothes and some jackets, and I found them at there. And they told me where they were. Through a gate, across a little stream, behind some bushes, underneath the freeway. And I found them up there in the evening, and it was already really cold. And it's the first time I'd walked into a camp. The first time I'd really done much with homeless, actually. And I walked into the camp, and I gave them the stuff, and I said, can I get you a hotel or a motel or something like that? I felt guilty about leaving them there, and they said, no, we're okay. We're fine. Thank you for the tarp. It really is going to help, because the tarp thing at least cover things and keeps them warmth in. So anyway, you know, I left and went back on that. I just had an emotional moment driving back. I thought, I can't believe people living right here in our prosperity Walnut Creek, and they're right here, and they're in that bad a shape. And so as it was, I knew where their camp was. I went back that week. I brought them some pizza. I just talked to them, befriended these 2 guys. And I said, wouldn't it be a great idea for us to, you know, have a little lunch, a little something, maybe up at Hillside. We have a whole bunch of food left over from the Magi. Maybe we can put a hot meal together. And they said, okay, we'll recruit some guys. So what we did is we set it up for I think it was a Monday, like a week later, and Michelle cooked it all. And David and Emilio and I took our cars out and we went around hunting for the homeless. We brought one person in each car and it was like, okay, stop at this bridge. You know, tell Marcus to come up. And we ended up with like 12 or 13 people that day at the church for a hot meal. And that's where it first started. When I first got the idea, that was in December. And a month later, I stepped into starting the lunches. After starting a relationship like that, that's where I had the idea to why don't I try to start something and see what happens. And so stepping in with faith, I think it just snowballed. It's amazing when you actually step in and try how God comes alongside you in synergy just to sort of prop you up and to bring others alongside and to make it work. The week before I was going to start, do the first Monday lunch, I had gone to Fresh Start and I told them about it, and the guy who was running Fresh Start said, hey, that's a great idea. I will tell the rest of the homeless community about it. And so the very first week, on that first Monday, I brought pizza from Zamboni's. I actually got it that very first week. There were about 25 homeless people there. And I think 3 people from Hillside. So, but that week, that Sunday before that, we in church sang the song God of Justice, which we sing all the time, but I don't know how often we listen to the words, because I've quoted the words before and people go, what's that from? I say it's the song God of Justice that we sing all the time. It says, we must go, live to feed the hungry, stand beside the broken, we must go, stepping forward, keep us just from singing, move us into action, we must go. Fill us up and send us out, and fill us up and send us out, O Lord. And I think that really struck me that Sunday, right before I was going to start. There was that song, I saved the bulletin, I still have it, and I refer to that all the time, that just keep us from singing, move us into action, we must go. So.